This is Ken Lathrop from Coffee Crafters, and today I'm going to show you our new Artisan 6 coffee roaster. This replaced last year's Artisan 5 roaster, and there's a lot of features on this new roaster that you're going to like. I'm going to show you these features as we're doing a roast. So I'm going to go ahead and get a roast started. It's going to take us 8 to 10 minutes, and so we'll go through the whole process. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the blower. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to do a full 6-pound batch today because this is a 6-pound roaster. We upgraded our insulation package on this roaster so it allows us to roast a little bit larger batches. So we're going to go ahead and set our bean loft. And we're roasting coffee. Some of the new features on our new model, we have a new 1250 CFM blower, and that replaced our 850 CFM blower that we had in our Artisan 5 model. And one of the things that allowed us to do is roast larger batches back to back and run the machine a lot cooler. We also upgraded the insulation package inside the roaster, so the electrical void stays about 10 degrees above ambient air temperature outside. Which was a big benefit. One of the other features of the new Artisan 6 is we've integrated the chaff collection system inside the roaster body. And when we're done with the roast, I'll pull the chaff bag out, show you what we captured inside. On the Artisan 5, if you saw the old video, you might remember the cooling pot that we had in this area right here. But being that the new roaster comes with this new larger bean cooler, we didn't really need that in there, so we integrated it, made the machine a little bit smaller. Some of the main features that make this a lot more unique than our original roaster is we've added a new infinite heat control on our heating elements. There's two 5200 watt heating elements inside, and we have them hooked up to some solid state relays, so we can turn it down the dial. And we've also updated we had the factory update the heat controller. It used to have an 8-second update time. It now has a 1-second update time, so you can turn down the heat and park the heat just about any place you want. Where we used to have the heat controller cycle the elements on and off, you can now turn the heat down on the dial and set it anywhere you want. So really, I use the heat controller now just as a safety so that it doesn't get the machine too hot. I'm going to roast this batch today at about 100 or 520 degrees temperature. So I'm going to roast it using a little bit more air. We're going to drag the roast out a little bit today. It'll roast an 8-pound batch or a 6-pound batch in about 7.5 to 8 minutes, and I'm going to draw it out just a little bit today. The new bean cooler is a real good addition to this package because it'll cool 6 pounds of beans in about 90 seconds. And I'll put the thermal gun on it when we're done, and you can see the heat go down from the start to the finish. You can roast and cool a batch in about 12 minutes. So you can figure about a 12-minute cycle when you're roasting coffee. And that's a real comfortable pace for one person to do. You probably won't have batches go much over 9-10 minutes. A couple minutes to cool, jump in another batch and you're going. That'll give you about 5 cycles an hour, fairly comfortably. I designed this machine for my operation in Thailand, and I was roasting coffee there with a little small drum roaster, but it was really too difficult to teach people how to operate, and I wanted something that was really easy to work on, easy for my staff to learn how to roast on. So I came to Acrofab to actually design some components, some housing components for me, I was going to build a more commercial looking roaster from the prototype I had. And one thing led to another, and we ended up partnering with Lathrop, and we've been building roasters now for about a year. Now my heat is already up to 517 degrees. So I'm going to turn my heat down to about 8,000 watts, and that'll park me at about 512, 515 degrees. Inside we have a new electrical package, and one of the things we did different in this roaster is we've integrated all of the electronics in the front of the roaster. So with the old roaster you would turn it up on its side to access the electrical enclosure underneath. With this roaster you can just pop the top, pull the front out, and all the electronic package is lined up right there. So it's very easy access. All of the components in the roaster are really off-the-shelf components. We search really hard to find things that are mass-produced for some other application, and that really helps us keep our costs down on the roaster. And it also makes it easier for people to change out the components. We make sure when we design things that it's easy to get at the components, so it's easy to work on. Most people can work on their own roaster, but you can also just have any appliance repair person work on the roaster. Anybody who could work on a clothes dryer can work on the roaster. We're about halfway through the roast. You see the chaff going up the system. The new system works really well. People who are using this unit indoors are telling us that they get very little smoke inside the room. Some people are using this in their basement, in a spare room in their house, some people in their coffee shop and restaurants. It's a great addition to be able to put a roaster in your business so that people can actually see how coffee's roasted, and it gives you a bit of a unique advantage. All of the information on the new Artisan 6 is available on the website. You can go to www.coffeecrafters.com and print off our data sheet and click on all the links to get information on the roaster. We've been roasting now for about 5 minutes, and we're getting close to first crack. You get close to first crack, you can see a lot of chaff going up the system. I'm going to roast this batch to about 450 degrees, going to be just a little bit past medium. You can feel it drawing air in from around the outside. It actually keeps the hood cool. Gets a little bit warmer down the pipe. But as you can see, it's a pretty easy system to use. Almost all of our customers, we never see them, meet them face to face. We help them with their first batch or so over the phone, or they watch the video. Our old video, they would watch the video and get started that way. We haven't had anybody have trouble getting started on their own. Here are beans that are about 415 degrees. We're going to let it go a little bit farther, and then we're going to pull this batch off. One of the things that you'll notice on the new machine, it runs a lot cooler than the old machine. We have a lot more heat shrouds inside. We have a new heat shroud over the top of the heat chamber to create an air gap, and then our ceramic blanket insulation around the outside of that. And what that did for us, it allowed us to significantly lower the temperature on the inside of the machine. So when you're doing back-to-back roasting, it really helps the machine stay cool through that process. Now I have a 6-pound batch in here, and I turn my heat down to about 7,000 watts from 10,000 watts, so it's got plenty of heat to roast 6 pounds of coffee. I'm running at about 510 degrees, and it's just cycling within a few degrees back and forth. The new infinite heat control works really well for roasting cacao. And we had a chocolate roaster come in from Salt Lake City a few weeks ago to try out the machine, and he bought one because it does an excellent job of roasting cacao, because you can turn the heat down, and cacao roasting, it happens at a much lower temperature. So we could turn it down till we hit just the right place. It'll loft about 7 pounds of cacao beans, so it makes a great dual-purpose machine. You can roast your cocoa and you can do chocolate. Well, we haven't had to do much to the machine during this roast. Our bean temperature is about 430 degrees right now. We're going to let it go about 20 degrees more, and then we're going to pull this roast off. On our bean cooler, it's got a pull slide on the outside of the bean cooler, and you'll see me open it here in a little bit when we go to pull this roast. We leave that closed when we're roasting, and what that does is that directs all of the suction through the hood, helps keep the system cool. We only open that right before we cool, so you have to remember to close that when you're roasting. And we're coming up on 450 degrees, so we're just about done. I'm going to get ready to dump this batch. So what we're going to do when we dump this batch, I'm going to turn off my heat. I'll remove the chimney. And that's all there is to it. We just roasted 6 pounds of coffee. That 6-pound load took us about 8 minutes. One of the things we loved about the new machine is the new machine cools so quickly. And that was one of the things with coffee. You roast your batch, you want it to cool down very quickly. And this 6-pound batch, it'll take no more than 90 seconds because we're a little past the medium roast. We're about 450 degree bean temperature. It's already down to about 150 degrees. And that's it. We're down to about 120 degrees. So we'll go ahead and shut the machine down. And that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, you can give us a call. Or you can go to coffeecrafters.com, get some information off the internet, and you fill out a contact form there, and we'll send you some more information, and you can send in your specific questions.